Hi, myself Sharad Matade, the editor of Tyre magazine. As sustainability is gaining traction across the globe, the tire industry is talking about tire recycling. Today, we have Mr. Rahul Shingarpure, who is tire recycling expert from India, on the show. Welcome, Rahul.
Good morning, and thank you for having me over. And actually, in a matter of sense, I'm no expert. It's all that I've spent a few more years and a lot of other people in this field, and I'm very excited about this subject for the last decade or so. And it's very exciting that we are able to talk about this subject today, and especially with your magazine. So thank you so much.
Rahul, I wanted to know the first, where do we stand as the Indian recycling industry compared to the European recycling industry?
Sharad, I want to start this talk with this, with these numbers, which will really surprise you. Would you know that, I don't know how many people out there actually know that about 37% of all the tires in the world are recycled in India. And that means about almost 1 out of 3 tires generated, end-of-life tires in the world, are recycled in India. So that is a humongous number which talks about our recycling strength. But but the sad part is that most of our recyclers in India do not make any money. Vis-a-vis the European recyclers are actually happily going to the bank. And this is a sad truth, but very, very true as of now.
But I would like to ask why we are not making money.
Sharad, I'm sure we've spoken about this also many times that we have met before, and it has been very a pain point which is very close to my heart. Is that there are many reasons, and if I had to boil it down to a few points, a first one would be a commercial reason, obviously. Sharad, I would like to ask you a question. Would you have an idea of what is the cost of end-of-life tires per ton in Europe?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, I'll give you a figure. An end-of-life tire in Europe would be costing as low as about $30 per ton, and many times in many places in Europe, for an example, it could be also free.
Okay.
Would you now like to also talk about saying what do you think could be the cost of end-of-life tires per ton in India? Would you have any idea?
No.
And don't be shocked when I tell you these numbers. It is about $225 per ton.
Oh.
Now you can imagine, right? we are 8-10 times more expensive as a raw material for processors for recycling, right? So one of the first figures which are outstandingly very imbalanced is our purchase prices. The selling price of the granules or the end products is by and large the same in Europe and by and large the same in India. So our recyclers are always pushed towards the wall, and they work with a very limited margins to work with. Now second part which also is connected is also that we have almost very little or no government support at all. There is no government policy, there is no benefits, there are no subsidies. In fact, I would say that the government today is that, or I would say that we still do not have, we are not regarded as a recycling industry. We are just taken as the tail end of the supply chain, or I would say the disposal arm of the supply chain. This is where we look at the way we look at the recycling industry. You will be surprised to know that in America, when there is a recycling conference, let's suppose ISRI, the biggest recycling institute in the world, for their conferences, I have personally been witness to United States presidents coming to open the functions. Not only open, long speeches, and this makes a statement of what these countries think about recycling. And imagine in India, when I go to conferences, in fact there is a conference happening in a few weeks from now, wherein in the program I was trying to find out, there is no government official wanting to even come on a virtual platform also to even give a half an hour speech. So you can imagine how it is that our whole mindset is not there, right? So in terms of we are not accepting it is even worthwhile to give with half an hour or 45 minutes of a certain minister's time or somebody, right? So this is the mindset of the government bodies right now, is that we are still not thinking of this as an industry, and until we don't have this as an industry, the policy frameworks don't come, and so on and so forth. And of course, the third challenge is obviously the technical know-how, the technical support, the mentorship which is required, right? Because what happens when you are pushed towards the wall without any subsidies, without any tipping fees, without any support from anywhere, the commercial numbers don't speak for itself so nicely. And what is happening is that with all this put together, you have a limited bandwidth to work with. And in that limited bandwidth, if you are not you don't have a scope to make any mistakes. And the biggest challenges which Indian recyclers have made is in the equipment line also. So sometimes bought blindly equipments from Europe, sometimes bought from China because they're cheapest or whatever, but not the right mix, and eventually bleeded themselves. So what is required is actually the right mentorship, the right guidance for buying the right equipment, structuring the right plants, which fit in the value system, the ROI sheets, the return on investment modules, which will be very, very peculiar to a certain demographic.
True. Rahul, could you explain me the nature of tire recyclers in India?
Okay, this could be a little longer answer, but I hope it makes sense. That in tire recycling, I would say we have been doing tire recycling as a culture, or I would say for the last 40-50 years. And I would say, make a statement saying we must be recycling tires much more before the rest of the world had started off. Because culturally we are an RRR kind of economy. RRR is not the movie, but I would say reduce, reuse and recycle, right?
Right.
So we have been practicing the 3 Rs not as a part of sustainability. We never understood those big words called sustainability, clean tech, recycling, circular economy, but it was just being Indians, that we were always looking at how do I extend the life of a resource, right? When a tire was told to be used only for maybe 50,000 kilometers, I know so many people, including myself, I would change a tire only when the tire refuses to work, right? And I'm sure you would agree with me, this is how we are all are, right? So we have always been that way. We have tried to recycle everything. That has been a part of our culture. But what has happened over the period of time is that the recycling industry did not metamorphose itself into change itself into a modern recycling industry with all the right parameters, the right supports which are required, and that is where we are still lacking. The tire, let's suppose, is collected by some people from a tire dealership, and they are collected together in a very unsanitized, in a very not a very regulated form. From there, it is sold at their whims and fancies at the prices that they want to sell. So today, this whole tire recycling industry is at the mercy of unscrupulous players in the marketplace who are not registered with government. I don't know if they pay even taxes or not. And so with that happening, the recycler has got no other option but to also look at importing tires to subsidize the high cost of purchasing in India. Even that is now regulated by an import policy for importing tires, and which is very difficult to get. So all that put together, the recycler today is actually, it has to balance itself from buying from everywhere wherever is possible to finally having frugal practices, to finally make the end of the day, pay the mortgages of the bank, and eventually, if at all, survive the first 5 years, and then maybe some people who are able to sustain and live are able to make profit. I want to make a statement here, and that to my understanding of being in the market for last 10 years, and having done more than $50 million worth of projects, I would say about 90% of the recyclers are not able to make any money in the first 5 years of operation. They are just being able to scrape through. And I would say hardly 10% of them are actually able to make money, and if they are also able to make money, they are also, it's only by other means than just the normal business. So this is the state where we are right now, and it saddens me to say that unless we take some drastic actions here, we will not be able to see the light of the day.
You just mentioned about the drastic actions. Could you elaborate a bit? What do you mean the drastic actions we need to take as an industry?
Listen, see, Sharad, as an industry, first of all, we all will have to one fine day come together for the benefit of all of us. The moment we all keep our vested interest in the front and not looking at us as collectively, there is nobody who's going to benefit, right?
Correct.
Today, what I see happening all across is that unified approach, for the benefit of the industry, the recycling industry as a whole, to come up. That noise is not there even now. There are murmurs, but those murmurs don't even cross this room. Forget about reaching the capitals, right? Secondly, is that we will have to structure the right policy, right? In here, what we see is when the recyclers are just desperate to somehow live through another day, it is very difficult for them to think of what the right policy is supposed to be.
Correct.
They are just thankful that there is a policy which is going to come, right? Secondly, is that there is a dearth of successful models or stories to emulate in the recycling industry, especially to do with tires, I would say. So what is happening is that people are left to trial and error. It's like when you want to set up a plant of your own for recycling, you don't have anyone to look up to, right? All you are left up is to go and meet a manufacturer who is going to tom-tom about how good his equipment is. But they are not wrong, but a manufacturer seldom is going to talk about your profits. For your profits are not going to be at the core of his whole sales pitch at all, right? And a recycler's profits or a recycler's return on investment sheets will change from region to region, will change from country to country, might even change from continent to continent. The reason are so many. I'll give you an example also. When I set up a plant, let's suppose near the sea, near the ports, I am able to import material. Maybe I'll be able to have a few more, maybe $50, $100 of benefit there. But as I go away from the port, that benefit is taken away from me because my cost of transport again, balances out the price of what I'm buying the tire in India too. So with that, now it doesn't make sense to have an import material coming into India for somebody who's, let's suppose, has a plant 1,000 kilometers away from Mumbai. So that also has to be taken into consideration when you are trying to understand where you are going to put up this plant. What is it supposed to do? What are the end products really supposed to be? What are the end products market going to be after, let's suppose, 5 years? Suppose somebody wants to put up a granulate plant which is going to do 70 tons per day. But you can imagine the numbers I'll give you. It takes about 200 tons of granules to set up a stadium. Now, and I know, how many stadiums do you think are going to be built in the next maybe 5 years, 10 years? Now, if 3 days of granules are going to only make one stadium, tell me, if you have a plant which is going to make, let's suppose, 70 into 300 is about 21,000 tons. You tell me now, should I go for a plant like this or not? So, in fact, what I feel, Sharad, is there is a big need in the society for people to ask questions, right? And actually, once you ask questions, then you will find the right answers. Now the question which arises is, who can give you an answer, right? Because when you want to structure a right solution, you also need to first ask questions, but at the same time, you also need to have people or organizations or solution providers. What I strongly felt for a long time is that the need for having an EPC. Unfortunately, in the tire recycling industry, there are many manufacturers of equipments in the world, but very few EPC companies, engineering, procurement and construction companies. Now, when you start talking about EPC companies, as you understand, they are more solution oriented. That means that for them, the customer's profitability is at the core when they are designing the plant, right? And so they are brand agnostic, they are country agnostic, they are technology agnostic, and it doesn't matter from where the equipments come from. You could have one part of the equipments coming from the US, one coming, the other one coming from Europe. There could be many coming from India, and there could be something coming from maybe China or Taiwan. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the whole project putting to integrating together in the right fashion, and then that resultantly it should match in a best value for the customer, right. So EPC we feel is one of the best solutions which can actually fill in the gap. Most of our customers today are profitable. I am making a statement because of the nature that we have always behaved in. We have never behaved in a fashion of being an agent for a manufacturer or just just trying to represent a brand. More importantly, we have been more solution oriented all the time, and that is what we advocate also people, that you need to consult an EPC company if you really want to put up a large plant and be profitable.
Yeah. So you spoke about the return of investment profitability, okay, and the guidance. How your company will help people to make profit in tire recycling business, or guide them to set up accurate or profitable plans?
Sharad, we as an organization, as a philosophy, we have always believed that whatever we felt good inside as for a recycler is what we have always done. Driving our profits to the roof has never been our philosophy, okay. I am sure a lot of people will talk about this, but this is what we have practiced in the marketplace. We have been an organization, we have had the guts to say no to business. And if there are people who are ever going to see this interview and also read in your magazine, they will also agree about us very proudly that yes, we have been people who have refused a lot of business when we saw that what they were asking for is not going to make money for them, right. And we have had an experience of working with world's number 1. We have been working with world's number 2. We have put plants all across the globe. In fact, I would say in about 3-4 continents now. So we have seen equipments from all manufacturers by and large. We have seen on every continent what are the challenges and what are the opportunities. And we have always been in a quest, and we have been in an organization, we have always been the, I would say a word which comes to me is like the mavericks, who are always asking questions saying, why not? Why shouldn't you, have a policy to, which is going to be conducive to the recyclers? Why shouldn't the startup program in India, have everything, a special division, special funds earmarked for path-breaking work in the field of recycling? Why not? Why not have equipments which will do everything together? Why not? Everything is all about why not, right? It's like somebody who's in the appliance industry saying, why can't I have one equipment which will do washing of the utensils, will also do washing the clothes and also clean the floors? Why not?
Rahul, you are mentioning about IndoGreen 2.0 other day. So could you explain me what it is?
Sharad, thank you so much for bringing up this topic. In fact, over the period of last many years, we have been thinking about reinventing or asking ourselves, in this last decade where we have reached is this place wherein we have a lot of accolades to our credit. Frost and Sullivan Award, which is also for path-breaking work in tire recycling and all that, and we are thankful to everyone for that. That's fine. But we also asked ourselves that what is the next decade going to be for us, the next 10 years, and that is where we said the word called what is IndoGreen 2.0 going to be. And when we started talking to ourselves, we had to come back into our history, our lineage, our legacy, about where we started off. And what we found out is, yes, our whole quest has always been, like I mentioned before, why not? Why not stands to be our whole underlying philosophy for everything that we do at IndoGreen Enviro. And now we want to take it to the next level of the next frontier, I would say, what we have not done before. And that is what was finding the right product and to getting into manufacturing some of the components, not saying everything, but some of the components which we felt that this is something which is going to be a game changer in the marketplace. In fact, in our quest to find that's such gems in the recycling equipments or technologies, we scouted all across the world. We saw many technologies everywhere, and finally we discovered a phenomenally amazing equipment in Turkey. We worked with our Turkish technology partners. We co-developed it, worked together for many years. Then we improvised it. We tested it extensively all across Europe. Then we had a few installations in the Indian subcontinent also for the last 2 years. In fact, 3 years now. And we ran it through all kind of we pushed it to its limits. The results which the machine threw out were amazing, and in fact we felt that this is now what we want to do is that we want to get into equipments which are specialized, which are something which is going to be path breaking equipments. We are now introducing something. The first equipment in that whole process is the crossover rasper. Now you will ask me, what is a crossover rasper? You remember the talk which I was having with you some time back regarding saying why not have a shredder, a rasper and a granulator all in one, right? So this machine which we are introducing now called the crossover rasper is something like that, wherein you can have actually full tires made into as small as 10 mm material in a single stroke, in a single machine, all process put together. One more thing which has always troubled me is every industry goes through its ups and downs, and let's suppose tomorrow the tire industry goes through its own motions. Where does the recycler stay? I have seen sometimes when recyclers actually had to shut shop for 6 months, 7 months because there was no market, there was no demand, and they were going through a tough time. Imports had become cheaper, all that stuff. In that case, this machine will be able to do plastics. We have tested it extensively on aluminum, in plastics, in wood, in electronic waste, in cable recycling. So a recycler tomorrow can actually use this machine to do any kind of thing. He is able to take care of all kind of material in one machine. How is that, right? So this is the versatility that we were always looking for, and this is not just the one machine. We have few other machines also lined up in the same sphere which we want to bring simultaneously over the period of time. And what we are going to do, Sharad, is we are going to have a facility in Pune where our manufacturing is going to be, wherein we will have a machine dedicated for recyclers to bring their material and do the testing there itself. They can put in the material, see what outputs they want to have, let the machine speak for itself. And last but not the least, which has been very close to our heart, is the ROI. When we were designing this machine, although we wanted to have it to European standards, because these machines are going to get exported from the same facility all across the Asian subcontinent, we also looked at it, how is the value story. And when we compared the value story with what the equipments are available outside, I would say we are about, the ROI for this machine could be like 12 months vis-a-vis about 36 to 48 months for other machines available outside in the marketplace. Along with that, what we worked on is also a higher warranty. We could possibly one of the very few equipment manufacturers right now who are actually going to offer 24 months of warranty for a machine, plus more sets of spares as a part of standard. But because we understood what the recycler really needs, he needs to just focus on getting the machine manufacturing done in the right fashion, getting the product output done, and not focus or bother about the warranties and other part of it to be taken care of. So you can imagine that with this kind of machines and our thought process, the recyclers are sure to be more profitable than ever before.
Thank you, Rahul, for such insightful information about tire recycling industry. I look forward for such more discussions in future.
Thank you so much, Sharad. Thank you.